has written an article on the Capital Bank matter that's receiving a lot of publicity this morning. Now, he is looking at how two different governments handled the problems that were involved when it came to the matter of Capital Bank. And he joins us on the line to explain his perspective to us. Thank you very much for your time. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Sarah.
Lawyer Pierre Dankwa is also the spokesperson for the Movement of Change. This morning, you are receiving a lot of attention in some newspapers over the article you wrote. In fact, the Chronicle headline said the rise and fall of Ato-Essie's bank. There's also the Inside newspaper calls it Ato-Essien. Lawyer says he's victim of punitive policies. And I think the Daily Post has a very interesting headline. Says Mahama'S helped, but Akufo-Addo destroyed Capital Bank, says private legal practitioner. Explain to us what your views on this matter is, and what pushed you to really put together this write-up that's attracting this attention.
Yeah, so let me wish your listeners a good morning and wish yourself a good morning. If you recall, sometime in 2017, we all woke up in the morning to the news that some Ghanaian-owned banks had been collapsed because of their failure to fulfill some regulatory obligations. Now, subsequent to that, we were told that one of the banks was a capital bank. And then he went further to tell us that under his appointment to Obama, 620 million liquidity support was granted to Capital Bank. And the shareholders of Capital Bank then went ahead and practically shared the money. Indeed, the reference was made to a certain 80 million Ghana cedis that was supposed to be shared by the shareholders. And obviously, the matter had a criminal undertone to it, which we saw the incarceration of Ato-Essien. And then interestingly, the acquittal discharge of the three other accused after the entire matter had gone to trial. My personal interest was piqued after news broke that Madado had pardoned Ato-Essien, and the state then coming out after to say that the same news wasn't true. So I just did a few research, and then I was alarmed at the extent, in my view, of the wrong that was done to Ghana. You see, when you read our Constitution, Chapter 6, especially the bit that has to do with the economic purpose of this Constitution, which type of government to create the right and enable environment for private sector to be the engine of growth. Now, this tax on the executive also is a tax to more or less create an environment where local banks will thrive. I'm a firm believer of economic nationalism. Now, in around 2014, 2015, Capital Bank had liquidity issues. Essentially, on their books, had close to about 480 million Ghana cedis of loans they had given out, which had been classified as bad. You know, according to the IFRS, they have a way of classifying assets of the bank. And you know, loans are assets of the bank. And that after 180 days of a repayment becoming due, and the third repayment not having been made, that repayment is classified as bad, and the bank is supposed to make provision for sale on their books. And so by 2015, Capital Bank had about 480 million of loans that they had given out being classified as bad. And clearly, this meant that they were going to have liquidity issues, solvency issues. Now, what did Bank of Ghana at that time do with it? Bank of Ghana, instead of taking the route in another state, invited them. And then they together found a way to salvage the bank quietly. So now, what they did was that they divided the assets of the bank into two, had the good bank and had the bad bank. the good bank constituted of their good assets, and now amounted to over 800 million. And the bad bank, obviously, were loans they had given out to people about 40 of things, which had been classified as bad. Now, the bank what did to aid them was to discuss with the shareholders. So the shareholders will more or less assume those bad debts, secure same with their equity, and then ban any dividend sharing for 5 years, all to create a situation where the bank will become solvent again. Secondly, they then advanced a commercial loan to Capital Bank in the name of liquidity support at an interest rate of 23%. And the terms of that loan, Capital Bank was supposed to make a repayment of 40 million, interest repayment of 40 million a month. Capital Bank made those repayments for 24 months. The third loan was secured with their potential funds. And quietly, so nobody had said about it. And Capital Bank was turning the corner. Only for the new regime to come and then, in my opinion, attack Capital Bank. One, they called in for the 620 what's called commercial loan granted them, in spite of negotiations Capital Bank had with them, to the effect that one, waive the interest payments, two, or reduce the interest from 23% to 10%, or even the amount that is outstanding, take it as equity. But no, government said no. Instead, their focus was essentially to destroy the bank. And that is exactly what they did. What they did. Now, so looking at these two governments, how Mahama handled this issue and how Nanado handled this issue, clearly it tells you the view of two different governments on how to handle issues concerning local entities. And how one government, that is His Excellency Mahama, advanced the cause of private enterprise and then private enterprise, and how under regime Nanado weaponized regulatory regime to destroy local banks. So in this rate of reset, I think that reset agenda cannot be complete unless we reset injustice. And for me, it's a call for us to have a comprehensive review of all the so-called what's called bank cleanup, which essentially led to the destruction of 9 banks. You may recall that America has a similar issue. Now, they've been guided by the issues in 1929, that's the Great Depression, took a strategy to salvage those banks. And I think Tomama was guided by those same principles. But sadly, when Nanado had the same chance, as when it was really needless because the banks were on the mend, he decided to destroy them and then use propaganda and regulatory to weaponize regulation to destroy Ghanaian businesses. And so it was that caused me to write this article to cause a discussion, debate on how we can use or how we should use powers in the grand government to protect Ghanaian enterprises as against the them.
To what extent did you take into consideration, I think one of the things that the Nanado government highlighted about where they talk about the fact that money was given to this bank, and it looks like part of the money found their way into the accounts of the shareholders involved, and for them that is ground for them to at least make sure they withdraw the license of the bank. To what extent do you take into consideration what they felt was the main reason for the bank not to continue to operate because of the actions of the board and the founders?
Oh, no, that's exactly what I explained right now. It was sheer propaganda, vile propaganda. That's why I said that. You see, in 2017, we were told that 480 million of the 620 million found their way in shareholders' account. That was propaganda. And after that, the so-called 480 million shareholder loan was indeed bad loans that they are provided by the bank for 40 years. And it was known that they discussed with the Bank of Ghana. They said that the shareholders should take over those loans and secure payments with their equity. There wasn't money that was given to the shareholders. Indeed, in the criminal trial, there are people who were acquitted. They were acquitted on the basis that there was no stealing all those monies were accounted for. And that's why I'm calling for a review. Because there's so much propaganda was spreading around.
Two things, just because I know I have to let you go. After weighing the two approaches, which approach do you suggest we go with if we want to protect Ghanaian enterprise and jobs usually?
Certainly the Mahama'S approach. Because our focus is to protect the interests of Ghana. We should change our mind, reset our mind to economic nationalism. And I'm not certain should we destroy Ghanaian businesses if we have the opportunity to salvage them. I think that was the attitude of His Excellency John Mahama.
And then finally, you're talking about review. Exactly what do you want reviewed and by who?
By the government. And a review of the so-called propaganda. Because I'm saying, we were made to believe that they were giving 620 million when really it was a loan. It was a loan that they were repaying consistently. You understand? Two, we were told that 480 of those monies were shared by shareholders, which is absolutely not true. And so really, this is a case of clear injustice. It's a case of give a dog a bad name and hang it.
Should this review be limited to the capital bank, or you think it should go extensively into everything that happened with the financial sector cleanup?
Into all of them. If you are going to have a comprehensive research, then we must review all the collapse of the banks.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for speaking to us.
Yeah, pleasure. Yeah.